Schönen guten Tag und herzlich willkommen. Wir haben heute illustre Gäste hier, die ein schönes Spiel aus Japan mitgebracht haben, nämlich Natural Doctrine. Ich werde gleich in Englisch das Ganze machen. Ich hoffe, ihr seid dem dann mächtig. Aber wenn ihr hier zuguckt, dann solltet ihr es sein. Could you introduce yourself?
Yeah. Nice to meet you, everyone. My name is Armin Collosi. I'm the PR and Marketing Manager at NIS America.
Yeah, Armin brought, as I said in German before, Natural Doctrine with us, a new game from NIS America. Why is it called America and it's here in Europe? Why it's not NIS Europe?
That's a great question. We are a small company and a very niche company. Our roots obviously are in Japan. So for us to have a presence in Europe, it is quite expensive. So we do our best working with our partners to bring you guys the games here in Europe.
Great. So Natural Doctrine, as I know, NIS games, there are a lot of strategy games there, like Disgaea or Phantom Brave or whatever, all the stuff called it. This is a little bit different, yeah?
This is quite different from the normal strategy games we've done in the past, or the past RPGs we've done. Although it does have a nice anime look and nice, anime-style music. In this case, it is very much a hardcore strategy.
Okay.
You will be dying a lot. You will be retrying a lot, respecking your characters a lot, similar to the same way you would in an MMO like World of Warcraft. So, you'll be adjusting your methods and trying different strategies. But at the end of the day, you will still be losing a lot in this game.
Okay, I would say you show us a mission from the
I'd
game
be happy to.
and explain a little bit, and I'm just going to interject when I don't understand something.
Yes, sir. Sounds good. So this is one of the missions you get further on. We've unlocked a few of the characters at this point. And there are two victory conditions. One is to close the front doors, and the other is to just kind of kill off the monsters. So in this strategy, what I try to do is I put my man all the way up the front, and I use him as kind of a tank. Now, if you look across the top, in this kind of system, you can see who attacks first and who attacks second.
So all the things that are up there are different characters.
Correct.
So that's not just some fighting styles. The F sword is one character, the Anka is another character.
You got it. So
Okay.
Jeff is your main character, and he's the first one to move. And he can move anywhere within these squares. And what usually happens is after your turn, then the enemy would go, which is in red, and then you get your next person, which is Anka. What's special about this game is what's called the linking system. And what the linking system allows you to do, if you do it right, if you look on the left-hand side, by linking, any squares that are within your square also get a turn. So instead of having the computer have a turn right after, you can have a turn right after, which makes for a lot of strategy. And that includes any square within. So if I move up to this square and I hit guard, now all 4 of my users will get a turn before the enemy does.
So it switches on top there, and best would be so you get more turns for your players, and the enemy should be at best beaten before you're done.
It's possible, but it's very risk-reward. So by taking all your turns early, the enemy will also get a full set of turns on their own.
Okay.
So, that choice is yours, and it's based on your style and strategy. We joked around about it a lot with my friend Alan here on the side, probably off camera. But he says my style is very American and very brute force, right?
You're always like that, you Americans. Not fine like we Germans here.
No, not at all. And so I've spec'd Jeff very defensively. He is there as a strong tank with a shield, and he's going to take a lot of the damage up front, right? So I'm going to start my turn by hitting guard and putting him up front. And that's going to be the end of my turn. And we'll let the enemy take his turn. And so what I can do is I can hold circle to kind of speed this up. And what he's done is he's linked his guys, and now he's taking 3 turns at once.
Okay.
So just like you can link, so can the enemy. So now he's taken 3 turns.
So it's switched up there, so we see the link in between the first 3, and then, of course, they gave us then the opportunity we could link ours together, so we have 3 attacks.
You got it.
Yeah.
Exactly. So they're all using counterattack to kind of link. And so a big part of this game are these squares. And if you've played any kind of tactics title in the past, my favorite being Final Fantasy Tactics, when you move into a square, it doesn't matter, right? You put a character into a square, and that's basically the end of your turn.
Yeah.
It's a little bit different in Natural Doctrine. Your positioning in the square matters a lot because all these things, all the environment, can act as defense and can act as a way to kind of have point of vision. So what I like to do is I like to get my ranged character within the door, right, facing that door, and you'll see it within I guess the attack sequence. She can counter. So every time they decide to attack Jeff, she'll get a shot off at them, which is an important part of the strategy. So we'll do that.
So line of sight always important here?
It's incredibly important. Line of sight is a big deal. And so what I'm doing, once again, I'm fast forwarding it so we can see the turn. So part of the linking system and part of that strategy also adds to damage. So by creating like kind of a triangle, delta attack, they're adding 53% damage on top of their normal attacks. And they're linking together and splitting them up within a square to do more damage. So let's see that in action. And I've used improved guard, so hopefully I can take this beating. Or I think I might have clicked guard, but let's just see. So like I said, because she's in position, she can count. You got it.
Yeah, she gets an extra shot there.
Yeah, she gets a shot every time these guys attack, which is great.
So strategy games from Japan, you of course have a lot. You talked about Final Fantasy Tactics. A lot of games are derived from that. But now even something like Disgaea from you guys has its roots there. I like these kind of games. I've played Tactics extensively. I like Tactics Ogre very much. I think we talked earlier about it, not on the video, but that one of the people who worked on these games is also responsible for this here.
Yes.
But they got a bit. They tend to be a bit simple with positioning the characters and everything. So I think a challenge like this looks very, very complex. As you said, hardcore.
It is, and you're not going to get through it the first time. Unfortunately, it's just not going to happen. You're almost expected to die. It's very much XCOM meets like Dark Souls.
Oh yeah. XCOM is also a good comparison just for the visual here. So, but XCOM is the same thing. There's also very important how the line of sight is, even like seeing the characters and everything.
You got it. So they're chaining huge attacks on me now, right? But it was expected. I told you it's a very brute force method to have everyone attacking Jeff at the same time. But it's the style I've chosen. We've played against, and there is a multiplayer version of this, and we've played against a lot of the Japanese in the office, and their style is has a lot more finesse.
Oh, okay.
They're picking strategies that we've never seen in the U.S., but we've also had less time with the game. Right, and we've learned a lot of that in the office from kind of playing against them, but exciting nonetheless.
Yeah, I'm also a more maximum damage kind of guy.
Yeah, okay, so you'd have a completely different style.
Just pincer attack from the front and the back and just trash the enemy or something. That's always good. That always works. But it's if someone has the advantage by having more time with this game, I can imagine that it's probably there are a lot of tactics someone hasn't even thought of yet.
Yeah, and that's one of the things we did. That's exactly a great point. That's one of the things we did notice in the office. And one of the tactics I'm using now is Tatiana's a great long distance attack unit. And she does a lot of damage with very little defense, right? She's a sniper.
Yeah.
And so what I'm trying to do right now is I'm trying to position her in such a way that I can kind of, pinch out these guys from the back without them noticing that I'm there, right? So I'm going to pull her all the way to the far left while they're focused on Jeff and trying to kill Jeff. I'm going to try to move Tatiana all the way over. It's a risky style because if they do see her,
and she's alone there without any support.
You got it. Yeah. At the same time, this is my mage, and the mage plays an important role in that the magic that they cast, is limited. So in this game, where you can replenish mana all day long, you can't do that in this game. On the right-hand side, you see that 4.5 grams. That's actually how much magic you get for this stage.
Okay.
As you progress through the campaign, some maps will give you more mana per se, but what ends up happening is you'll start to realize that you might want to preserve that for the next map because you won't replenish it. So then your strategy changes.
Okay, so there are points in the game where you can replenish, but not after each mission. So how the story is.
So
is played
depending
out
on
there.
your style, and how you've been playing the game, you may be forced to go back a mission and say, okay, I didn't want to use that much mana.
So story,
or I should say Pluton is what it's called in the game.
It's Pluton. It's here. Yeah. It's not Pluto. It's Pluton.
It's Pluton. Yeah.
Yeah. Story in games like these always sometimes it takes a backseat a little bit. Something like Disgaea has its story sequences, but of course it's more about going to the fights, have long fights, multiple fights, and everything. How's it? How does it work here? Do you have extensive cutscenes, or do you have menus with moving faces or something?
Sure. Yeah, there are cutscenes, and I mean, you hit the nail right on the head. This is a strategy game first with a story in the background. The story is exciting, and there is a new game plus mode where you can get a different ending, and definitely it is cool. We liked it and we played it in the office because we wanted to know what happens next. But it really does take a back seat to the game. At the end of the day, the strategy is ultimately what they were looking for, right? The depth and the system and the linking system and all that, that's really what they cared about with this game. And you can tell.
Mm-hmm. So that's the first PlayStation 4 game from NIS, yes?
Correct. So this is our first game. We're very excited about it. The developer, Katakawa Games is a great developer. We're happy to support them. And at the same time, it's important to NIS because although it is true to our roots in terms of, it does have that anime style look, it's a completely different IP. In Disgaea, there's a lot of what I call the grind. You're leveling your characters up.
Well, you have 10,000 levels you can level up each character, so it's gonna take a lot of time if you want to do this.
You got it. And in this case, your units are very much, what I like to call like an army. You want to come in as a team and leave as a team, right? In most games where a character dies, you could probably, res them back to life and you continue going. In this case, one of the hardcore aspects is as soon as your character dies, it's game over.
Okay, so it's really game over. It's not that so something like Fire Emblem, I think it's got something like permadeath there, so you lose that character, but the game still goes on. Here it's game over when you lose a character.
Correct. It's game over, meaning you have to restart the stage. If you made it to the checkpoint, thank God, because then you can continue from there. And the Japanese, they had a lot of frustration. We actually at NIS helped, to develop the US version and make it, a little bit more friendly, in our opinions, because in the original version, when you do die, there were no checkpoints.
Okay, it was just back to the beginning and
to the beginning and start that whole map all over again.
Man.
And definitely not easy by any means. But you know what? A lot of people, and we follow the forums a lot on this game, they still loved it, and it was still very, very exciting to them.
It's, of course, a bit different, but I also have to think about, that's not an NIS game, but Valkyria Chronicles, the one from Sega a while ago. Yeah. That's a game that didn't sell very well, but it's one of my favorites back then. It's got also this kind of war-like theme here. So from what I saw here, it's a bit fantasy, but you have guns and weapons and everything else. So it's a little bit different than typical, of course, not Disgaea anime fantasy.
Yeah, you got it. We already know in-house with this game that this game has a certain audience. And that's what excites us about at NIS, because we want to grow the company. We want to be able to bring in new products, and we want to be able to say, hey, we can take some of this funding and grow the company. More limited editions, more special editions, more different styles of games. At the same time, we're not going to stop the Disgaea franchise. We're not going to stop, any of the other things. But it helps us grow as a company. And if we can find that audience that loves this game, that's why we're here today.
So yeah, you have, I don't want to say niche kind of games, of course.
No, we're okay with that. We're happy to say that, you know, we do have niche games that only apply to a small audience, and that's what we focused on.
But as you said, that's my experience with fans of games like this. If they're fans, they're really rabid fans of games.
Exactly.
So also it's of course nothing to do with this game here, but we had Danganronpa, which is from your company in our TV show, and I pushed especially to put something of the game in the TV show because I liked it very much.
Yeah, thank you.
That's an acquired taste. You have to like these kinds of games, the special things.
It's different. It's right. It's not something that's normal, and you know, in-house at our company, that's what we're looking for. We're looking for special titles that maybe have not given the same experience to the audience. Right? It's not Call of Duty. It's not Battlefield. We know that. You know, it's not your typical RPG either. You know, this is not your typical strategy game. It's just not. But we like to think as a small company, as a small niche company, we take a lot of risks. And those risks come with fighting, you know, these special titles. Yeah,
it has to be a risk, especially I think the PlayStation 4 user base isn't that big yet.
No,
what is it, about 10 million now or something? Compared, this is not going to come out on PlayStation 3, or is it?
So this is a unique title in that Sony is very happy to support us. I think PlayStation 4 has about 6 million. Or excuse me, 7 million, you know, units out in the U.S. right now.
Okay.
Or excuse me, worldwide. And you know, this is cross-play, cross-save. So we'll be on PlayStation 4, PlayStation 3, and the Vita.
Okay. Yeah.
So one of the cool things about this game is the multiplayer. You know, you can have someone on a PlayStation 4 and someone on a Vita and play against each other. And, you know, there's already 60 to 90 hours worth of gameplay, depending on how good you are, in just a single player campaign. And on top of that, you know, then you also have multiplayer, which is a completely different system.
But it's good to hear that at least we have some early support for PlayStation 4 with these kinds of games. I think with Disgaea, it took a while to get to the PlayStation 3, but it was one of the launch titles for the Vita.
It was, it was. Very successful title for us. We're super excited about Disgaea for Vita. You know, if you've never played a Disgaea title, that's the one to play because it includes all the add-ons, all the stories, and new story as well. So, so this is very common. Back to Natural Doctrine. You think you've beat the stage. It's absolutely wonderful. And then they give... more enemies come out, and usually they're harder than the first set of enemies. And now you have to destroy all these soldiers without killing a character. And what's crazy about this stage and what's coming up is, you know, Erna, when she comes in, she's a beast. She does humongous amounts of damage.
So that was the girl with the golem, or?
No, it's actually this girl on the side. You didn't get to see her, but you know, she's right here in the background. She'll move up.
Okay.
And what you'll notice is just kind of she does a ton of damage. So let's see if we can get to that point. And the whole idea is, you know, as they there she is right now, taking a step forward. You kind of want to do enough damage that she pulls back, but not enough that you kill her, and then she just kind of heals everyone in the background. If you can find that fine balance, you could probably survive. So this is kind of worst case scenario for me. Usually I hate it when they spot me super early, because it just means it's another chance for me to die. But let's see how it turns out.
So we're of course playing here now the single player. As you said, there will be multiplayer and cross-playing between PS3, Vita, and the PlayStation 4. Is it going to be maps from the game that you're going to be able to play at each other, or is it other specialized maps in there?
You got it. So there are specialized maps, and there's also co-op. So co-op is fun in that, you know, you can work with a friend and see if you can beat you know, the computer at the same time. And there are maps built out, you know, specifically to do 1v1, right? And part of the cool thing is the multiplayer set up with cards. So a lot of the units you play against, you know, in this, and there's like reptiles, and there's, you know, just different races within the story without giving away too much, that you'll come to see as the game goes through, and you get to be those characters as you unlock them in the multiplayer. So what I did, just to give you an idea of the strategy, I know we're kind of playing, we're not talking about it. So XP is shared within the game. So as we kill units, you know, they are leveling up, which in a way kind of helps us out because they get a heal out of that, right? So we're not having a heal. And I've taken kind of a, you know, very aggressive stance in the back, and I'm trying to snipe them off. At the same time, the way the game goes is they can't move into a square until it's been cleared out.
Okay.
So as long as Jeff holds that square, they'll never, you know, they'll never be able to move forward and kind of take over the rest of my team. So far, so good. And one of the options I had early on was to kind of close, you know, the gate doors. And trust me, I must have played it 15 times this level and realized that it's impossible to close that door and not die. I don't know if the Japanese have figured out a way, but I haven't. Part of the problem is it takes 3 turns to close that door.
And just keep going to the
cranking.
crank.
And another part of the problem is Anka is the only one who can close that door. And so I'm sure there is a strategy that you can figure out, and probably some smooth and wonderfully amazing way to do it. I haven't been able to do it. Like I said, I'm probably not the smartest guy, but my brute method style has worked on this map, I'd say 70 to 80% of the time. There are times I still end up dying and I get very frustrated. So just like every other spells, you can't, other than attack, you know, your base attack, you can't use the same spell over and over again. So I used Improved Guard last time to kind of keep Jeff alive, but now I can't use it again for another 2 turns. So I'm forced to kind of use Guard, right? So I will do that. I could try to kill this unit, but it leaves Jeff completely open, right? And taking a ton of damage as a tank. So basically for me, all I'm doing is guarding. I could have also respec Jeff to be half defense and half offense.
Can you do this during the fight, or
no? So you can respec at any time, like you can. Unlike if you've played an MMO like WoW, it costs money to respec, and you have different styles that you can kind of respec to. It's the same way here, but unlike WoW, I can respec anytime in between maps, and it costs me nothing. You know, it's just a different strategy. But what I could have done is taken counterattack. So Jeff, every time he takes damage, he has an opportunity to shoot as well. So this is probably how I'll end up losing. Now I have 2 people kind of focusing on Titania. So let's see what happens. I probably should have moved them all the way back, but... Oh, so I got lucky. So they hit the wall. So positioning is everything. I also hit the wall, which was super unlucky. So if I had taken counterattack, every time they would have attacked Jeff, Jeff get countered. Yeah. You got it. You got it. That is one style, but it also means he's not defending as strong either. He's focusing on his dodge. And as always, I failed in this moment. And it's common, right? I made a mistake. I probably should have used my mage to cast defense on Jeff, right? It's one of those things, until you play it over and over again, you learn the correct way to do it. You know,
I think we got, even in you losing now this fight, we got quite a good impression there. As you said, it's quite a complex game.
It is.
I think
it is.
Especially for people, I know some people who played games like this guy are just hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and thousands of hours. Probably.
Right.
So this seems like a new challenge. Yeah,
in this guy, you have the opportunity to kind of over-level your characters and kind of, you know, plow through certain stages, right? Whereas in Natural Doctrine, you can't really grind any levels. And like I said, it's up to you to come up with a strategy to leave with your entire team.
So how far along are you with the game? So when can we expect this on our shores over here in Europe?
So I believe the title comes out in September. I don't know the exact date at this point. We're working on that. This is not a final build, obviously. It looks good, and you know, they've been fine-tuning it over and over for us in the US, as well as for Europe, for that European launch. So we are excited about it. It looks almost pretty much done. There are little bugs here and there, but I think you guys will be excited to see it right around September.
Is there some other stuff well, you have the opportunity now. What other games do you want to bring over to us now that we took the bait with Natural Doctrine?
We are very excited about, Danganronpa 2. We are going to
Don't spoil anything.
Yes, we won't tell you any of the story, but we have been told by some of our friends who have gotten an early preview build that it is hands down much better than the first.
Yeah, I now expect you to hook me up with an early copy.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
I have to wait so long to read it.
Yeah,
I'm just totally antsy.
We had a chance to do, in the U.S. we have a big show called Anime Expo, and we had a chance to fly, Terasawa-san, which is one of the main guys who put together. He's the producer of Danganronpa, and fans were ecstatic to see him. We had over 1,000 fans line up in the sun, under the heat, just to see him kind of talk about it. And one of the things he was able to share, which I'm happy to share with you guys today, is in the offices, when they were coming up with part 2, they basically said that, for the most part, sequels tend to be not as good as the first. That's exactly what they wanted to disprove. They wanted to come up with a sequel that was hands down better than the first.
That's all the stuff I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Just don't read anything about
it.
You're gonna love it.
Yeah,
it's good. So thank you very much for showing us Natural Doctrine.
My pleasure.
So end of September should be the time when it arrives.
Yeah, we will be announcing more at Gamescom. So if you follow any of that news, please.
Yeah,
we'll be there as well.
And I hope everybody who watched the video, you can comment, of course, and say, do you look forward to Natural Doctrine? Do you look forward to other NIS games?
Yes.
And I implore you, play Danganronpa and play Danganronpa too.
Please play our titles. We love our fans. We really do.
Right. So thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Bringing stuff with us. And that's it.
Thank you.